All right, good morning, everybody. Ooh, I bumped
You moved the
at
camera.
some point. Let's see.
It's probably all that punching the table you do.
Yeah, that might be part of it. I think the bulk of it is actually that I had to reach behind this big bastard to plug something in yesterday.
Hey, let's get...
I plugged that in yesterday. Ooh, the truth should matter. Oh, there's just go getting that microphone.
Just
out
stop
of your
it. It
way,
looks
so.
like you're doing something.
Hey, look
very...
at that.
Ha-ha.
That is the original BFM t-shirt. That's the first one I published and started selling. Again, Google Brushfire Mind and the t-shirts will be the fourth or fifth link. Same on the others. Brushfire Mind is the thing that comes up when you search for us now.
And you just happen to have a very pretty model that can...
I don't know if I'd go that far. You got a sticker on me.
Oh. That... It doesn't come with the sticker. Okay.
Oh, it does come with the sticker. I think that's an inventory control sticker from where I ordered the shirt.
Yes, it does come with the sticker. Yes.
So what are we talking about
serious on
morning?
this?
Say again?
Let's get serious on this.
Oh,
Yeah. So what do we... Well, it's Firearms Friday, so we're going to talk about guns and some DGUs, but...
yeah.
But man...
Actually, I've been so incensed about the whole situation, the whole thing that we're talking about. That's much better. Sorry about all the camera wobbling this morning. It was a little we're not up to the greatest start. So here's what's got me kind of twisted up right now. I'm furious about this shit. The National Defense Authorization Act has not yet been signed into law. It has been voted on to go to, it's not committee. I just used the word 2 minutes ago.
It goes to the
Conference.
next step in the process.
It goes to conference. The next step in the process where
is for it to get voted out of conference, and then it goes to the floor, and then it goes to the Senate, and then it goes to conference in the Senate, and then it goes back to the floor of the Senate, and then it has to go back to Congress, and thankfully we've got all those checks and balances there, kind of on purpose. It's a feature, not a bug. When the Marxists say it's a charter of negative liberties, that's a good thing. Oh wow, Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
I don't drink Coke.
Oh, never mind.
Because I'm white.
If you drink enough Coke, you can get woke. Or fat.
I've been awake long enough.
And fat.
Yes. When I was getting ready to join the Army, and I was a great big fat ass, but I was working every day hard. The first thing I did to diet to lose weight is I cut out Coca-Cola. I lost 30 pounds in just about 2 weeks.
Like 5 minutes.
Like that was the thing that I did, is I just stopped drinking soda. And it was primarily Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And, wow.
Yeah, apparently drinking several teaspoons of sugar a day doesn't help.
So.
Yeah, red flag law is one of the worst things
Now, the
ever.
red flag laws that we're talking about this morning are targeted. They're very targeted. This is not a red flag law generally for the population.
Yet.
Right, yet. So, the House Democrats in their ongoing quest to make it more difficult for Americans to possess firearms. This is from redstate.com. Eric, do better.
He doesn't do Red State anymore.
Oh, so it's probably a pretty good paper. This used to be Eric Erickson's thing. And Eric Erickson is one of those people that I want to like. But
it's hard. It's challenging.
if you claim to be a conservative and then got on the train to be a never Trumper, even if you tried to get off that train, it took you to places you never should have gone. Because, okay, conservatives who came out as never Trumpers, this isn't something I wanted to talk about this morning, but we're looking at Red State, and let me just say this about that. If you were a conservative during the 2016 and you came out as a never Trumper, what you were saying is, I dislike the Republican candidate so much that I am willing to sit back and allow babies to be murdered, guns to be confiscated, liberties generally to be eroded and deteriorated over my personal emotional feelings about this man's personality and demeanor. No. I am sick of conservatives compromising. And that's a lot of what we're about to be talking about here. I am exhausted. I am absolutely exhausted by the cowardice of the national conservative movement. We could not ask for weaker, less competent heroes than men who will argue, well, we'll just give them a little bit of gun control. We'll just let them murder half as many babies. I'm losing my patience with you sons of whores. And quite simply, if you are a conservative voter and one of the reps whose names I'm about to show you is your rep, they have to go. They have no place. No place. I'm talking about you, Dan Crenshaw. Shitburger. Coward.
Yeah, who'd have thought that day would come?
They have no place in governing and representing conservatism in the United States of America. They have no place working in the government. Not one Democrat belongs there. Not one currently elected Democrat is tolerable. But to try and appeal to the reasoning, logic, intelligence, and sense of fairness in Democrat voters, let's not forget, you're talking about people who have literally voted in California to take all the water away from their farms so that they can have longer showers in Hollywood.
Well, in those mollusk fields.
You not. Say again?
In those mollusk fields, those endangered... An endangered shellfish is more important than the ability to grow produce. Just, that's California logic for you. So, buddy, how did we get here? What?
How did we get here?
How did we get here?
Fraud?
No. I meant specifically about...
House Democrats in their ongoing quest to make it more difficult... I'm just going to read from the article for a minute. Here, I'll blow it up for you guys so you can see what I'm reading and read along with me if you like. There you go. Y'all see that a little better? I don't know, you're probably watching it on your phones without your reading glasses on, Steve. And by the way, I'm making fun of both your old asses today. House Democrats in their ongoing quest to make it more difficult for Americans to possess firearms managed to sneak a red flag provision into the latest iteration of the National Defense Authorization Act. The legislation was passed last week and is headed to the Senate. Bearing Arms' Cam Edwards explained, the military version of the red flag law proposed by Democrats looks a lot like the civilian version found in more than a dozen states. Without being charged for or even accused of a crime, a service member could have their right to possess a firearm taken away from them by a military court, and the subject of the red flag order wouldn't even have a chance to provide any evidence on their behalf for up to 30 days after the court's order was issued. That's another problem with it. The idea that the subject of the red flag order would even need to provide evidence. Because here's the deal with that. For there to be a red flag order made against a citizen, there is a specific accusation being made. That is an affirmative claim, a positive claim. And even this logic here that is speaking in defense of the citizens' rights and against the red flag law is accepting the premise that you should be required to prove the negative, that you should be required to prove your own innocence. The burden of the proof of accusations belongs always on the accuser. For example, if somebody calls you a racist or a white supremacist or something like that, it is not useful to say, no, I'm not. Oh, I have black friends. I would never. I've always done it. No, screw you. You show me evidence. If you want to make a positive claim and you cannot put forward the evidence, like, don't get it twisted here. That's your Sixth Amendment right to be presented with the evidence against you for a reason. If you want to make a positive claim, you show me the evidence, or you go shit up your own nose. I will not prove my innocence, because it's not possible.
So yeah, everything is backwards now, says Scrimshaw Rose. There's actually in Star Trek's early seasons, Star Trek The Next Generation's early seasons, they bump into a society that is the inverse of ours. You're guilty until proven innocent, and it creates quite the little conundrum for the Starship Enterprise. It's something, and we've referenced Star Trek before on this show. That's an episode worth going back and rewatching.
The drumhead.
The drumhead was a totally different one, but
I know,
but that's definitely
we
one.
Went deep on that one.
Yeah, man. Ooh, you could just rewatch that one over and over and over and over again. So anyway, just to kind of back up, red flag laws work like this. Hey, Chris, I'm terrified of you. Beep, beep, beep. Help! Take Chris's guns away. I'm terrified of him. He's gonna hurt somebody. So then the cops show up, and they take Chris's guns away. That's how red flag laws work. Now, one thing that they're going to attempt to take your guns away may be successful, maybe not. I understand. Okay, but one thing that I've noticed...
I think what you mean is they're going to bring me more guns.
Just in the first Rambo movie, when Troutman's like, "Are you going to bring that many guys to catch Rambo?" And Sheriff Teetle's like, "Well, yeah, of course." And he's like, "Well, there's one thing you forgot." And Sheriff Teetle's like, "What?" And Troutman's like, "A good supply of body bags." So, one thing that I find really insidious about this, the fact that it actually targets soldiers, is one of the counter arguments you get from the left in the gun control debate is, okay, fine. You want to be able to use these types of weapons, own these types of weapons, join the military and get properly trained on how to use these weapons. So,
which is not a reasonable argument.
Reasonable or not, this actually leapfrogs that. Okay?
It does.
This goes straight to, okay, well, fine. We don't even need to have the debate around civilians. We'll start having the debate around soldiers. Because if a soldier can't carry an AR-15...
Well, and you remember Dianne Feinstein, this was several years ago now, and I've mentioned it several times, I know. Feinstein said, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is a disease from which every veteran suffers. And... because every veteran has PTSD, and she was very clear, every veteran, without exception, if you have served in the military, not every combat veteran, not every veteran that's seen action, because believe me, I've known a lot of soldiers who have deployed to active war zones and never seen a shot fired or fired a shot themselves. That's a thing. But she's talking about even soldiers who spent a 20-year career in garrison, which means they stayed in the United States or on one of our bases in an allied country overseas and never saw a war zone. She's saying that even those people suffer from PTSD just by dint of having served. Like it's just a standard line on the DD-214 when you're discharged. And for that reason, no veteran should ever be allowed to own a firearm. That is the position of the enemy. And don't ever, ever, ever forget that the Supreme Court position in it's D.C. Heller versus D.C. was that the prevailing opinion was that the Second Amendment conveys that the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which is
what it says.
And the dissenting opinion of the Democrats was not, no, there can be reasonable restrictions. It was, no citizen should be allowed to own a firearm. unless they're police or military. Let me say that again for you in the back. The Democrat position, on paper, official from the Supreme Court, is no firearms for anybody.
Isn't it Ruth Bader Ginsburg who wrote the dissent on that? I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think she wrote the dissent. I think she was one of the concurring dissented opinions on that.
Maybe I just assume it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg because anytime she got the opportunity to write something at length about why the American Constitution was bad,
anytime she could take a big fat Sharpie to the Constitution?
A big fat Sharpie. Yeah, something like that. There's another piece to this though, and
real quick, if y'all saw the thumbnail, you saw that the red flag that I used on the thumbnail is the Chinese Communist flag, and that's not an accident.
That wasn't an accident? You did that on purpose? Like there was irony and shit involved there?
The point here, right? Make no mistake, the objective with red flag laws is to disarm the American people because our Chinese puppet in chief and our pro-China National Communist Party, the DNC, are all about shutting this country down and handing it over to a New World Order that they've mentioned themselves out loud. Keep saying the quiet part out loud. New World Order.
Yeah, Justin Trudeau even called it the Great Reset. Yeah.
You know who else called it the New World Order? Bush. Obama. And Trump did too, but unlike Bush and Obama, Trump wasn't talking about it in a positive light. He didn't say it like it was a good thing.
Look, I mentioned Trudeau because that man makes me feel more masculine just by dint of his existence.
Scripture says, I'm bad, but I think we should ship all the politicians to Afghanistan without weapons for a vacation. Actually, you know what? No. I say send them all there. Give them each a rifle. I say take every elected official, give them a weapon, drop them in Afghanistan.
Let them check out for themselves how well secure Bagram Air Force Base is.
Just drop them off. Here's a rifle and a magazine.
No, if we put them in Bagram, they can report back to us how well that whole pulling out of Bagram went.
We have drones. I don't need them to report back anything.
You're missing the point. Oh, no. I'm trying to take the sarcasm somewhere. You could give me you know how sometimes when you got a fish, you got to give it a little bit of line so you can yank and really set the hook?
Can I go with them?
I mean, you'd have to work that out with your wife, not with me.
That's fair.
See, but here's another piece to this that to me, like, you want to talk about, okay, take all the emotion out of it, just look at, like, pure tactics, art of war type shit. What the Democrats have done here, technically, is brilliant, because with this NDA Act, they forced a situation where you could potentially take a big giant shit on the soldiers over here, or you could potentially take a big giant shit on the soldiers over there, and now you have to pick which big giant shit are you going to take on the soldiers. However, there's one thing that kind of contradicts that a little bit, and that's the fact that some of these reps are like, oh my gosh, we had no idea that this red flag language was here in the bill. Now look, I understand when you've got multiple bills that are hundreds of pages long, you can't read everything, but your staff can.
Okay.
That's what you pay them for.
No. Your staff can read. No. To hell with that. If you as an elected official don't have time to read the entire bill, and I mean study it, vote no. That's it. I would honestly go so far as to say if you can't sit down and over a single cup of coffee read and understand the bill, vote no. No exceptions.
I'm not saying...
One item of action per bill. One item of action contained on a single printed page. If it's more than that, just vote no. Without exception. Because that's not a law. That's an entire agenda doctrine.
I'm not saying that's a bad policy, but what I'm pointing out is to hide behind, gosh, we had no idea what was in the bill, that really strains credulity, and it takes something that could be argued in good faith and then, makes it really hard to assume that it was done in good faith.
Okay, and Polytech, morning Alex, says that the assumption there is that Republicans didn't know what was in the bill. They did. They voted for it anyway. I'm actually about to get to that. So I've got this post pulled up on Facebook from Representative Madison Cawthorn, and Cawthorn's a vet, right? I want to like the guy. I want to be clear. I do not support red flag laws. Nope. You're done. Some of my best supporters have seen posts and memes saying I do. This is a lie. Bullshit. You voted for it. I did not vote for red flag laws. I voted to send the National Defense Authorization Act to the Senate so they can strip out radical red flag language, draft our daughter's language, etc. No. No, no, no. What you voted for is I put my seal of approval on the idea that we should even have a debate about these subjects. Madison Cawthorn, and I'm about to go down the list here. Rick Allen, Georgia. Mark Amodei, Nevada. Don Bacon, James R. Baird, Troy Balderson, Jim Banks, Andy Baer, Cliff Bentz, Jack Bergman, Stephanie Bice, Gus Bilirakis, Mike Boast, Kevin Brady, Vern Buchanan, Larry Buxton, Ken Calvert, Kat Kamak, Jerry Carl, Earl Carter. Earl, I might just have to come knock on your office door next week in Georgia. John Carter, and he's not the first Georgia Republican. We're coming to see you. Madison Cawthorn, Liz Cheney, Tom Cole. Well, I mean, Liz
Cheney. Okay.
Sack of
Who's
shit.
surprised
Dan
by
Crenshaw, Rodney Davis, Scott Desjarlais, Mario Diaz Barlow. Wow. Neil Dunn, Jake Elzey, Pat Fallon, Randy Feenstra, Drew Ferguson, Scott Fitzgerald, Fitzpatrick, Fleischman, Fox, Franklin, Gates, Matt Gates, really? Gallagher, Garbarino, Gibbs, Jimenez, Gonzalez, Granger, Graves, Green, Guthrie, Hashbarger, wow, Harshbarger. Honey, I'm sorry about that name.
Boy, and she married into
but
it,
you
too.
Picked it.
Yeah.
Hartzler, Butler, Hill, Henson, Hollingsworth, Hudson, Isaac, Jackson.
Yeah.
Jacobs, Johnson, Joyce,
I don't think you have to read every
Cacto.
name. I don't think you have to read every name. I think you've made the point.
Fuck every single one of you in your shit-snorting little noses. What you voted for is you capitulated and said, this merits debate. That drafting our daughters, which we haven't even talked about, and red flag laws even merit debate. This is not complicated. You do not have a conversation about the possibility of even compromising on the surrender of the rights of the American citizen. You people, especially those of you on this list who are veterans,
the fuck?
You have broken your oath by voting to even discuss this. You have broken your oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. Your job is to put your fucking feet in the sand and hold a position and stop the enemies, both foreign and domestic, of the United States of America from assailing, assaulting, and attempting to destroy her sacred Constitution. And I mean sacred in every context of that word. This is not the last hope of freedom. This is not the last holdout of freedom against the encroaching night. This is the beachhead. This is the first footfall. This is that first finger grip as you get up over the cliff of tyranny to surmount that summit and take command of life, liberty, and freedom from an historic tyranny of violence and slavery over the average over the average human being. The rest of the world still does not enjoy freedom and liberty because they are weak and they refuse to seek it. Take a moment and look at Australia. Have guns. Australia. Well, we had a mass shooting. We're going to ban all the guns. Now we have concentration camps. We have concentration camps for people who refuse to capitulate to the abolition of their bodily autonomy. And I don't need to argue about whether or not the poke is effective. That's not the point. The point is, fuck you, you don't get to stab me without me agreeing to it happening.
Well, even with the vaccines that are technically mandated in our society, they're not truly mandated. Like, you don't have to immunize your children if you homeschool them. There are options to not give your children, like the MMR, for example. Now,
right.
I think that would
just
be
like you don't have to pay your taxes if you're okay with eventually getting shot by a government agent.
It's not.
And I'm sorry about the language, guys. I know I got a little off on the hot rails there.
So, look, will you pull up the representative statement again, because he said something that at the top. You got his Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. So, part of what he says here is to think of the NDAA like a football. The house has to snap the ball to the quarterback before they can reach the end zone. It may look like the ball was thrown the wrong way when it's snapped to the quarterback, but it's done so the quarterback can run the right way and score a touchdown. Look, I understand the point that he's trying to make here, because frequently as bills move through our Congress, they go into committee, out of committee, to the floor of the House, to the Senate, to committee in the Senate sometimes, and then every step of the way something is changed, so then everybody has to vote on it again. So just because he voted yes on this version of the bill, what he's saying is whoa, slow your roll. I could vote no on a version of this bill later on, okay? Here's my problem with that, and it's a really, really, really simple thing. Like, I'm going to take it all the way back to 5-year-old Cameron, okay? It's real hard to get burned if I don't play with matches, okay? Because what he's saying is, okay, look, I know there's a bunch of bullshit in this version of the bill, but guys, trust me, I swear, the bullshittiest bullshit parts are going to get stripped out by the time it comes back to the House and we actually vote for the funding to make this bill happen. The problem with that is, though, I almost feel like, I want to say this exactly the right way, they've already tipped their hand. Because, like, at the beginning of this, I said, it's actually really clever what the Democrats did. You could potentially take a giant shit on the soldiers over here, or you could potentially take a giant shit on the soldiers over there. Apparently, all you have to do is leverage a big enough potential giant shit, and they'll compromise on things they should never, ever, ever, ever compromise on.
And I've said this before. Republicans never compromise. They never have.
They capitulate.
They don't say, well, okay, you want this thing that we don't want, but if you give us this other thing, then we'll give you that thing. No, they say, oh, well, we don't want you to get your big ask, so we'll give you your small ask. So their compromise is, oh, you want to kill all the babies? No. Okay. And instead of saying, how about this? How about you kill no babies, and we love the babies? It's not hard to love your fucking babies. Love your babies.
Well,
but instead, the Republican position is, whoa. How about we just let you kill half?
Well, and then
that's not a compromise. That's a surrender. That's a capitulation. That's cowardice.
Well, and they never actually really compromise. Like, for example, and I'm just spitballing this. Okay, fine. No, let me finish.
Jamie's late. Brother, you've missed it. He had. You're going to have to go back and watch this one.
So no, well, here's an example. Just spitballing here, okay? Fine. You want to ban bump stocks? Okay, ban bump stocks.
No.
God damn it! You could let me finish.
I know.
Thanks. You want to ban bump stocks? Fine, ban bump stocks. When felons complete the terms of their sentence, they're allowed to legally own firearms again. Because, they've paid their debt to society and therefore have a Second Amendment right. And here's the brilliant thing about that. I really get the feeling that's going to much more strongly impact their voter base than our voter base.
Oh, yeah.
So it could actually be a win-win for them. But they don't actually want to compromise, which tells me something that Alex said earlier, that the Republicans aren't pro-gun. Well, of course they're not. Because there are things like that could be done. An intelligent person could leverage those sorts of points. I mean, the Democrats are capable of it. If it's possible for them to say, hey, take a big shit over here, take a big shit over there, we could do the same thing. I've said this before. I'll say it again. It's one of the things that made Trump so brilliant. He understood how to play that game. Oh, okay. It's a shit-taking contest? Hold on. Somebody hold my buckle.
Hold my pants.
Yeah.
So, Alex, the thing that you're saying there about the Republicans, this pains me to say, but it's time to wake up, guys. We have long believed that what we're voting for when we vote between Republicans and Democrats at the very core is that we're voting for the choice between large government with the Democrats and small controlled government with Republicans. That's no longer the case. What we're voting for now, what the choice that we're making now, is if you vote Republican, you're voting for, in theory, an American-style large government, which I know sounds like an oxymoron, and in many, many ways it is. But I do mean American-style large government. And when you vote Democrat, you're voting for the Chinese communist takeover. And I don't mean that voting for Democrats is going to weaken the country so much that the Chinese communists will be able to come and take over. I mean that the Democrat Party are the Chinese Communist Party. I mean that when somebody says God is love, it doesn't mean that love is an attribute of which God has a great abundance. It means that they are the same entity, that are indistinguishable from one another. That when you see love, you also see God, and vice versa. That's the same with Democrats and Chinese communists. This is not complicated. Now, that said, as long as we retain the same Republican shitbags that we have in our government currently, that will continue to be the choice. So, I challenge each of you to, and I'm gonna, here real quick, I'm gonna link this Red State article because it's got the list of names in it. Find your reps. If your rep's on the list, call them. If you've got time, call as many of them as you can. They've got to go. No Republican should ever get another vote from an American voter unless their platform is, I will repeal everything I can put my teeth next to.
Yeah.
And I mean absolutely everything.
Yeah, I mean, that's real simple. It really is. I know we're already long, but this is one that has frustrated me for a long time. Republicans could just... We've had control of the House and Senate and White House kind of recently. And we could just, repeal things like Obamacare, just as an example.
Right.
But there's other things we could repeal, like gun laws.
Yeah, the NFA's got to go.
I mean... It is what it is. And it's not that there's not a mechanism in place. Like, for example, while you're incarcerated, you're not going to have a firearm while you're incarcerated.
Correct.
Okay? So it's not like... And it's funny, the left no, I don't even want to get sidetracked. I just want to stick to the left, our side when we hold the reins of power. Like, we just need to go big and bold. The left is not afraid to go big and bold. Do I think that the whole fight that's happening in the House right now over the $3.5 trillion that actually costs $0 because the Green Deal is included in it?
Oh, yeah, it's going to... Oh, yeah.
Do I think that that's actually going to pass at this point in time?
We're going to pay for the $3.5 trillion with $500 million in savings on prescription medical costs.
Yeah. Well, do I think that they're going to get it now? No. Do I think they're going to get it the next time? No. But do I think they're eventually going to get some version of the Green New Deal through? Yes. Because they keep taking swings. And when it's a really big tree, sometimes it takes a few extra swings to chop that sumbitch down.
Yeah.
And, like, that's what Obamacare was.
Eventually it's going to lead to, cyborg mechanized cattle rising up against the genocide of the cows. And AOC is going to get her face kicked in when she's trying to put a carbon-converting butt plug into the back of a strong bull. I suddenly want to sign the Green New Deal myself.
Well, that's even what Obama...
Remember Earl, that big bull on the corner of Johnson and Parker with the nuts that dragged on?
Yep.
Brother, I would pay a year's salary to watch that bull kick AOC's teeth out.
But that's what Obamacare was. It was a step in the process toward universal health care. Guys like you and I saw it coming from a mile off. Gee, why would you want to bankrupt the existing healthcare system but still throw a bone to the healthcare companies so they'll sign on board with it? Gosh, one wonders.
For the same reason you institute a vaccine mandate that only affects companies with 100 employees or more, the objective is to eliminate non-government entities.
So yeah, it's our side, and especially like the Liz Cheneys on our side. I mean, seriously, get bent. Enough is enough is enough is enough is enough. No more, this is the best compromise we could come up with. You guys don't even know how to operate the word compromise correctly. When you compromise on something, everybody gets something at the expense of giving something up. That's not what happens when we compromise. As Chris pointed out earlier, it's not compromise, it's capitulation. It's surrender. That is not compromise. Okay? So, fine. Call it whatever you want, but stop doing it. And to go back to the football analogy, when we have the ball, how about we move down the field, try and get some first downs, maybe even score some points, and I don't know, start repealing laws. It's not, well, what are we going to replace this law with? Hold on, Sugar Tits, you're missing the point. I want the law repealed.
Ben Carson said it best. When I cut a cancer out, I don't put something there.
Right.
Right.
But that's, I think that's all I got.
Maybe some sterile gauze that prevents new infection. Okay, we've repealed a bunch of useless laws, and now we're going to go and amend the Constitution and say, no, really, we mean shall not be infringed.
We didn't even get to any DGUs, and we're long as hell, and we barely even talked about Australia. It's almost like you yelled at the TV.
I did. I did. Guys, and I appreciate that you guys come here and watch me yell at the TV from time to time. And I love this camera because it makes my yelling at the TV just a little more useful. And it's probably saved me a fortune on, large screen televisions and 357 Magnum ammunition. So, thanks for watching. It is Friday. Go into the weekend. Be safe out there. We love you. Don't drive drunk. Don't fry bacon naked. And for God's sake, don't ever try to open the whiskey bottle with your teeth. It's messy.
You use the back teeth.
I know. But I haven't made that mistake in a long time. Don't do it. Don't do it. Y'all be safe out there.